Hey, Shawnee from SpeedCubeView.com. So it's 2017 and let's talk about the 4x4s on the market. So this is going to be the mega comparison of all the major 4x4s. I'm going to talk about each one a little bit, then talk about sort of the main players at the end. So if you want to see what those biggest ones I'd recommend, just click the timestamp in the description. Now this is coming out at the beginning of 2017, so most likely there will be cubes coming out within the next year. And if you don't see those in here, check the channel, there will most likely be a full review of that cube. So we're going to go kind of in alphabetical order, and we're going to start with Cyclone Boys. There's the Cyclone Boys 4x4, and then there is the G4. The 4x4 is kind of a clone copy off shengshou cubes, nothing too special, and really shouldn't be considered. The G4 is an extremely nice cube. It comes in 60 millimeters and is just really well designed. It can have a little bit of internal catching out of the box, but after a few hundred solves that seems to go away completely. It is a little bit flexible, but works extremely well. And I used this at both competitions I did in 2016. So G had a few different 4x4s on the market, and most were decent. None of them really exceptional, but all, pretty good. So some of those being things like the Storm. Then they came out with the Wuxue. Now the Wuxue, it's 62 millimeters, extremely stable feeling, a little sluggish. Now this is still that prototype version, and from what I've been told, they made a few adjustments to help with some stability, because this corner does flex a little bit. This is the one I've been using a lot lately, and I have set a lot of my records with this puzzle. So I'll come back to this one at the end. Now let's talk about more U4x4s. They had some like the yueshen, and this set the bar for a lot of 4x4s, but then what really set things apart was the yueshen. And they have a full-size 62 millimeters and a mini, which is 60 millimeters. I've replaced the stickers on this. Usually they're a little bit more full-fitted. This one was the main for pretty much almost everyone for quite some time. It can take a lot of breaking in to really give its full potential, but it corner cuts well, it flows well, it's pretty fast as well, a little bit flexible. The mini version was probably one of the best mini ones you can get, aside from the G4, and there's a lot of debate over which one people liked more. A lot more people use the yueshen, but a lot of people who had the G4 preferred this over it just because this felt maybe a little bit more stable. There's a few side brands like the Mayu from Kong's design, and this one wasn't that bad. It was quite sluggish in the inner layers, and they tried redeeming themselves and coming out with a second version which didn't seem to really change much at all, and this is pretty much never used anymore. I know a couple people who still use it, but it kind of fell flat after it came out. They recently came out with their MF4 4x4, quite big flooring holes. If you look for the regular yueshen compared to this, those holes are huge. It's a bit flexible and it can perform well, but I do get quite a lot of clicks on it. So I would still recommend the yueshen over this one, but the one thing this does have is its budget price. Next we have the shengshou cubes, and these were kind of the staple for 4x4s, usually required a lot of modding. These are two of them that I have that I've sort of replaced some stickers on, this one making it into a super cube, and this is their newest one, which is the Wind. And it doesn't corner cut anywhere near what the other ones do. It's not as fast as any of the other ones, and I really don't see this as a major competitor. One thing that's nice about it is it's quite stable, and if you're not looking to speed solve, it's still not a bad cube to get, but definitely not something that should be in a top contention. Now YJ had an interesting run. There was the yueshen, and then the guansu, and now the yueshen R. The guansu when it came out was really hyped. A lot of people liked it. It was quite smooth. It tended to have quite a good amount of popping though, at least more than some other cubes. And in like a month after this came out, they came out with the yueshen R, which is a combination of the yueshen external pieces and the guansu internal pieces. It seemed to have fixed some of the internal popping, as well as made it very fast. If you're looking at a budget 4x4, Either of these can be nice, but really I would just put the Guansu over on the side and stick with the Yusu R. This was hyped when it came out, but I don't think it really needs to be hyped anymore compared to with some of the other ones we have on the market today. Now we have the Kungfu 4x4. This one that when it came out, most people just sort of passed up. But then as more and more people tried it, it turned into a major player. I know some people that once they tried it, made this their main, and some people that still do today. It feels a lot like the Aosu did. You can see even size and colors, they're very, very, very similar. This seemed to be a little faster and just a little bit more flexible. There was some catching when I first took it out of the box, but after just, about 10 solves, it seemed to have gone away. And if I used a full-size cube, this pretty much would have been my main. The only thing I didn't like was it was 62 millimeters, and I kept going back to the 60 millimeter one, which was a bit more comfortable. And that's where a yueshen comes in. The yueshen 4x4 seemed like it was going to really set the bar for all new 4x4s, and it did. I think it pushed a lot of people, a lot of companies to try to make something better. There was a yueshen Lion 4x4 that was sort of a budget brand, nothing that should be taken seriously as a top one, but was quite fast. And I turned this one into a super cube as well. Yueshen Blue is their newest flagship one. It's 60 millimeters and feels very, very nice in the hands. It is a little sluggish out of the box, and a lot of people replace it with Maru soft springs or Thunderclap springs to try to fix that. I really don't think it's super necessary. I've tried that. One thing this does seem to do is pop a little bit internally, where something completely flies out, but just sort of clicks out of place. It's a super nice and smooth and comfortable feeling cube with the larger outer layers, but that popping tends to hold me back from using it as a main. So now that we've gone over these, let's talk about the major players. We have the Aosu. I'm going to hold the mini one right here. The Cyclone Boys G4, the yueshen Blue, and the Chiyi Wuxue. Now all of these three are 60 millimeters, and this one is 62 millimeters. Now of course a smaller one's probably going to come out, or at least another version, because a lot of people are going towards that 60 millimeter. But if you really don't like 62 millimeter ones, this one probably won't be your choice. If you're a really accurate turner, any of these could be fine, but the blue might be a good choice. But I emphasize on being accurate turner because there can be some popping inside, or if you really don't like tighter tensions. I'm a pretty accurate turner, and I still get those from time to time, not too often, but if it's more than once every 100 solves, I think that it should not be considered then. But like I said, if you're accurate turner, like tighter tensions, that's fine. If you want something that's a little bit more stable, kind of a middle of the road, really what Cyclone Boys is great at, middle of the road cubes, nothing that's really going to blow people away, but nothing bad, the G4 would be the way to go. It's a pretty cheap price and definitely good bang for your buck. And lastly, we have the Aosu. It's a little bit more on the expensive side. Moyu has been hinting that there's going to be a new 4x4 coming out very soon, but they've been hinting at that for a while. They hinted at an Aosu version 2 that didn't happen. Now they're hinting at another 4x4, so I don't know exactly when or if there's even one coming out, but this was a big one for a lot of people for a while. I know Felix used this for quite some time, and now he's switched to this one. These two are kind of the biggest players, the Wuxue and the Blue right now, for most of the top speed solvers. One that should be considered that isn't these is also the Kungfu, and the reason is for the price and for just how well it flows. If I was to try this and the Aosu back to back, I might prefer this one over it. And I would have used this one at all my competitions if I didn't prefer the smaller size, like I said earlier. So if you're looking for a budget one that's 62 millimeters, the Kungfu is definitely the way to go. If you're looking for a budget one that's 60 millimeters, I'd recommend the G4. And then these three are left for if money is really not the issue and you want something that feels nice and stable. This one is the most stable of all of them though, and I think will be the biggest one to try to beat for 2017. So thank you very much. Please leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and as always, stop by speedcubeview.com for more news and reviews.